In this video, we're going to look at a few basic constraints. I've already drawn my sections and I've defined two super lanes, one each side of center line. Now we're going to go ahead and compute. And in this case, since I want to use constraints, I need to use an SRL file. The SEP file does not support constraints. So I'm going to select my sections, and I'm going to select them all. I'll reset to complete the process. And now it's looking for the name of my standards file. And so I can Alt down, or I can click on the tab to go out, and I'm going to use the Max 4 ASHTO 2001. We'll leave the design speed set at 50, and we'll leave the pivot method set to centerline. And I do want to add constraints, so I'll say yes. And now we can see that it computed because it turned my green and yellow lanes into various colors. I'll reset to close out of the command. And now let's take a look at what we've got. Okay. We're going to review this last curve, which is main 5. And the way we're going to do that is in the editor. And there we can see the 5th curve. And if we note, looking at it, we've got our high side of super is on the left. And we can see that here. And that's the one that we can adjust. And you can see the small green dots. The yellow dots mean it's partially constrained, and the red dots, their points, indicate that it's fully constrained. You'll notice that inside of the table that some of the fields are a gray color, which means that they are constrained, and those values cannot be changed. Anything in the black, we can adjust. So let's go ahead, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take note that a lot of the fields in the right side of the table are now populated based on the constraints. And we can go in and modify some of those, and we can see how it's reflected. So the first thing we can do is we've got this short section here before it goes into our transition, and that also impacts this point up there as well. And so if I come in and change my offset from 30 down to, say, 15, we'll notice that that will shorten up. And you'll notice I actually shortened it on this side. And if we go back, we can do the other side as well. And we can do that by 15. And we can see that it shortened it up. And it also moved, in this case, actually both of the points. I can go ahead and undo to complete that and bring it back to where it was when we started. Next, let's take a look at the actual rate of super. So for example, we have our maximum was 4%, and we can see that we have that. So if we come in and we change our 4% and we adjust it to say 5%, we'll notice that it moved it. Now in this case, it also changed it down below. So let's move this up just a little bit. And we can come down and we can see that when I changed it to 5% here, it also changed on the other side. So it's taking the constraint from one side to the other, not from one end of the full super to the other end. So in this case, if I want to go ahead and I'll move down slightly, so I can see them both on the screen, I can do the same thing on the other side. So I can change this 4% to 5. And when I do that, you'll notice down here that this will also change. And if I scroll down just a little bit, we can see that they both changed to 5, and it's leveled back out. And just to make sure, let's go in and take a look at our curve. And we can see that it did adjust it to 5% on both ends. And if we click on the other one, we can also see that it's at 5%. And so any changes that we have made in the editor can also are automatically reflected inside of our super elevation lanes in the plan view. And once again, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and we can do our undo, and we'll bring it back to where we started.